Sega.
So the Orcs and Goblins have always been the most kind of playful of races in the Warhammer world. Rick Priestley famously said they were the gamblers' army because they have so many random elements, and there's nothing more random than the Squigs. Back then in the early 90s, the Games Workshop sculptors, they were like, what happens if a goblin rode a space hopper? And from there they were incorporated into the lore, of course, as a part fungus creature. And which happened to be an orc delicacy as well.
Concepting is a massive and really important part of the whole process of creating these units and characters. Thanks to the Warhammer universe, we've got a deep history that we can look at within the miniatures. Because the Squig is such a fun little unit within the Warhammer world, it was very important to get that across. So making it as strong as possible at the beginning is really important because then it's going to have knock-on effects. When I'm refining the concept, I like to have lots of reference, keep lots of textures, always referring back to the miniatures to make sure we've got nice transition from the Warhammer tabletop game to our game.
After we receive the concept art, as well as any reference images of the miniatures or the miniatures themselves, in the case of the Squig, it could be scaly skin, plucked chicken, the legs on an ostrich or on some sort of terrestrial bird for the anatomy that we'll be attempting to incorporate into the character. A task like the Squig would take somewhere around 20 days of modeling and texturing time. The biggest issue from the miniatures for us would be functionality for the animators, essentially, is making it so that this thing can move in a way that'll be noticeable and easy for people to see from a distance. The feet are so small that you wouldn't really notice anything that they're doing. So what we've opted to do is give them legs more similar to the Mangler Squigs or the Great Cave Squigs, and that way they can have a bit of a stride as opposed to just being this giant, bouncing mouth.
So what really helps us during the animation process is all kind of the actual models, the miniatures themselves. So that gives a kind of essence of how they should move, the kind of behaviours there, and plus supported from the army books. And that's something we pay really strong attention to make sure we get the actual right detail of how kind of the Squigs move. The whole process of animating the Squig was probably at least 50 days. It's very hard to put kind of a number to it, but it's a iterative process because when you put that kind of love and attention to them. If you look at the army books, there's lots of descriptions how goblins get eaten up by these Squigs. So essentially they're big eating machines. And the thing is with a Squig, there's no other creature in the world that exists. Normally you have other creatures, for instance, the boars we had in for the greenskins. You just reference boars, but the Squig is slightly different. The actual model itself gives you an indication what it is. So you go well, actually it's got a big tongue, big mouth, and you think, well, it's actually kind of like a dog. Especially with Skarsnet, you got that relationship being a pet, so you got that kind of synergy. Well, maybe it's kind of this kind of overexcitable puppy.
The process for creating the sound for the Squig in Warhammer really started by getting concept art, reference material from Warhammer books and the internet, and trying to decide exactly what we wanted the Squig to sound like. Then we'd start recording things. That could be things from the real world, like animals, humans, but it could also be non-literal sounds like door screeches or other things that we can mix in to create the character. When it came to the Squig, obviously it's quite a unique character. It's got a massive mouth, little legs and a huge head, and that's about it. We have to think a little bit outside the box. One of the things we did for it was record the sound of a plunger into different materials. So we'd get a giant plunger and we first of all got porridge and we'd plunger away and record the sounds. And then we did it in yogurt, we did it in anything else really we can get our hands on. Because we wanted to get that slobbery kind of sound, which weirdly a plunger makes. So you have to then take the individual sounds and create a sound for the whole group. The group can be multiple different sizes, so we have to create different sizes. You can hear that group from different camera perspectives, so we have to create different perspectives. Once we have the actual sounds, we can put them into the game engine and make sure that they trigger okay.
From a designer's perspective, we're here from the very outset. We look at what things are making fun and unique, so that they offer something different to the other units that we already have in the game. We dig into all the different departments, we see it through from its conception right till the end. It goes out the door and goes to you guys. Warhammer and Total War are a great combination. You know, they work very well together. Makes our jobs, you know, very pleasurable when you come to take the tabletop units and bring them into our game. We go deeper and deeper. We make sure we read everything in the army books. We're looking for little nuggets of gold, basically, just to expand out those units, and we scrutinise all of that stuff. So one little nicety that we picked up on, there's a lot of debate on about whether squigs pop, whether they go boom. If you play as Wurzag, which is our free legendary lord, he's got a quest where you go up against these squigs. They're great fun and should make for an entertaining battle for you guys to fight at home.